You're listening to the Intuitive Souls podcast. I am your host, Erica Russo, psychic medium and intuitive development coach. This show is all about giving you the conversations, tools, and wisdom you need to live life the intuitive way. Whether you are waking up, wanting to develop your intuition and connection to spirit, or wanting to live a more magical life, I got you covered. I give you grounded, practical, and insightful content that helps you wake up, level up, and connect with your soul. I'm excited you are here. Let's wake up together. Hey guys, welcome to the Intuitive Souls podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm really excited that you are here. If you are an OG and you keep learning, growing, listening, expanding, living every day with intuition and intention, I fucking love you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of your support. I really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in each week and, just hanging out with me. It's really awesome. This podcast has been such a game changer for me and my path, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you guys every single week and give you conversations that might help, that will give you tips and tricks and tools to help you on your spiritual journey in your life, whatever it is. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that you're here too. If this podcast is helping you, if it is giving you the guidance, the humor, whatever it is to help you feel a little bit more confident in your life and on your path, if you can head on over to iTunes and write a review, those reviews allow me to get this podcast to the ears that need to hear it. But before you go ahead and click submit, make sure you take a screenshot or a photo and you send it to me at hello@ericarusso.co. No M, and I'm going to send you just a gift, maybe a guided meditation or some of my subliminals, just as a thank you, because I really do appreciate you guys taking that time out to support my small business. So in today's episode, I got to hang out with one of the coolest Virgos I've ever met, Dana Willey. She is a psychic medium and a mentor, and she is also one of the amazing circle leaders of the Intuitive Life Society. We will be talking a little bit about ILS in this episode, but she is awesome, and she also has her own podcast called Woophoria. You can listen on all the major platforms, basically everywhere where you listen here. And be sure to follow her on Instagram. She's lovely, she's funny, she's badass, and I'm really happy our paths have crossed because she has been such an amazing addition to Intuitive Life Society. I gotta say that. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to let you guys know that I am hosting an Intuitive 5K virtual workshop on September 25th and 26th. It's a weekend workshop from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is going to be a psychic and mediumship development workshop. We're going to do a lot of exercises. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you are interested in joining, be sure to head on over to ericarusso.co and reserve your spot today. Spots are filling up quickly. And drumroll please, the new, the better, the expanded version of the Intuitive Life Society is now open for enrollment. This has been such an incredible experience for me to grow this from a very small collection of women who just wanted to, dabble and work on our mediumship and psychic skills every other week to now having nearly 15 classes a month, whether it is yoga and movement classes, intuitive cooking classes. Obviously, we have astrology classes with Hannah, and we also now have human design classes. It's incredible. It's just, I'm like so proud of this. And if you are interested in coming on and being part of this incredible community and learning and growing and having access to the member portal, which is essentially like, not going to lie, it's kind of like a school in and of itself because there's so many past classes in there, come join. Enrollment is open now for a limited time. Don't know when I'm closing it, but come hang out. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to connect. Dana would love to connect. Hannah would love to connect. We love connecting, so come join us. Okay, guys. So now let's just go into this week's episode. I asked Dana to come on and just basically talk about, so you want to be psychic. You want to develop your skills. You want to hone in on your intuition. Where do you start? What do you do? Who do you call? Ghostbusters. No, I'm joking. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. This is going to be a really great episode for anyone who really is at the starting point of your psychic and mediumship development. Dana and I, we wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for developing, because we didn't really know we had this ability. So we are so happy to be sharing this conversation with you. Again, be sure to follow her, listen to her podcast, and I will see you guys soon.
2, 1. All right, guys, welcome to the Intuitive Souls podcast. I have a very, very amazing psychic medium and good friend of mine, Dana Willey, with me. How are you today?
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So we've been going back and forth for months trying to figure out, like, what do we want to talk about on a podcast episode? And I think that this was just something that we need to talk about. And the topic is so you want to be psychic?
Why do you? No, I'm just kidding.
Like, why? Like, for real. No, I'm joking. It's wonderful to be psychic. We are both professional psychic mediums. We are both also mentors. So we help people develop their skills. And we also host our own circles in the Intuitive Life Society, which is amazing. And we'll talk a little bit about that during this process. But let's go ahead and let's just talk about what being psychic is.
Well, I want to just ruin it for everybody. So you want to be psychic? You already are.
Yeah.
That is the first thing. And yes, some people are born with a little bit more, or whatever life circumstances open you up to be more. You have your awakenings and all kinds of fancy things. It is a muscle that you can work on, but we all have intuition. We all have it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's recognizing it.
It is just recognizing it. And I think that, and this is something that we wanted to touch on, Hollywood has glamorized the whole psychic mediumship thing. When I tell you this is the most subtle thing you will ever experience in your life, and it's just being able to be mindful and aware enough of what you are experiencing is the key. And I don't know about you, but I don't claim to be, I was born psychic. I felt like I always had intuition. I know that I've relied on it from time to time during my life, but it wasn't until I started developing where I'm like, this stuff feels normal to me. You know what I mean? Like having vivid clairvoyant hits, meeting someone that you're connecting with or something. It was just so normal. And I was like, I feel like everybody has had a psychic hit at least once in their life without even knowing it, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's that pit in your stomach.
Yeah.
It's those are hits. And I love that you mentioned that they are subtle. Part of what we do in development circles or as mentors is we help you quiet your mind so that you can pay attention. I think you touched on it very well, that Hollywood has made it so that they have this psychic thing, if you touch the spoon, oh my God, now you're seeing the whole era and you're getting sad and you feel the death and oh my God. No, sometimes it's just holding a spoon and you kind of feel a little sick to your stomach. It is not that big. Sometimes
extravagant.
Yes. And I think you and I both have this where we both question the out of ourselves. I hope that it's okay that I cuss.
Oh, it's totally fucking fine.
I mean, you knew that you were inviting me and that I was probably gonna. But it we make it into this big thing, and you and I are so hard on ourselves, and we are so critical of ourselves. And I know that we're speaking for the masses here. I know it's just not Erica and Dana that are like this, that we feel that if we don't get this major big hit or, oh my God, knock you over, then it's not really there. So understanding and appreciating that it is very quiet and subtle. And the other thing I just want to touch on with the Hollywood thing, there's tons of psychics on TV, right? There's Teresa Caputo, Tyler Henry, like you name it. There's TV shows, whatever. Understand that they do not show you everything. They show you the hits.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy you brought this up, because I have been so privileged to see some of the world-renowned psychic mediums do mediumship demonstrations. I'm not going to say names because I still respect the shit out of them, and they're still phenomenal mediums, but I have seen well-known mediums, ones that have been on TV, that have written books, that have fan clubs probably, give C- platform demonstrations.
Yeah, absolutely. But we don't see that on TV.
Right. You'll never see that on TV. You'll never see that on TV. My mom went, I don't want to call anybody out, but he is a very well-known medium. He had a demonstration before COVID, and she went, and she said it was horrible. And I think too, a big thing about being psychic, being a medium, is the fact that nobody's going to tell you this, but we will. Some readings, you're going to shock yourself, and other readings are going to be absolute dog shit.
I talked about this in a mentorship session yesterday, exactly the same conversation. Like, part of, like, you want to be psychic, you want to, even if you don't want to do this professionally like Erica and I, you have to be comfortable with being wrong. You have to be comfortable with, like, maybe not hitting it. And I have had far more hits and far more good readings than I have bad, but I have had bad readings. And any psychic medium that tells you otherwise is lying to you.
Oh God, you have to be talking about that TikTok. God. Oh, don't get me started on that one. We can have a whole conversation about the things that I've learned on TikTok from 100% accurate psychic mediums.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to touch on really quick too, I call this ghost charades, whether it's psychic work or mediumship work, I call it ghost charades. And they use the filters that we have inside, like maybe if I see an apple, I'm thinking of a teacher. So they're going to use that filter to show me that they were a teacher. Okay. They may not use that for somebody else. And that spirit may not be really good with visuals. And so we're just not going to connect very well. It's just like human beings. How many people in your life do you just not communicate very well with? So I feel like very much on the spirit side, it can be very similar. Now, I think that people get guided to you because you are the right medium to connect with their loved one. But Erica, how many times have you done a mediumship reading where you connect like so hard with one spirit, and it is like there's no doubt whatsoever that you're connecting with the person you're connecting with, and then they say, I want to talk to grandma, and you can't get shit?
Yeah.
It happens.
I've had that without a doubt. I think we also too forget that mediumship is not a telephone.
No.
It is not a telephone whatsoever. And I think, like, for me, and this is something that I've kind of, through my mediumship journey, have come to realize, is just like we gain a reputation here in the physical world, we also gain a reputation in the spiritual world. Which mediums are good at receiving evidence? Which ones are more visual? Which ones will be able to express the love that I want to give to my person? Which ones are no nonsense and they're evidential and everything like that? And I think that it's important to remember that it's like mediumship is a triangle. It's a triangle. It's spirit, spirit, spirit. We're all spirit. Your client is spirit, I am spirit, and spirit is obviously spirit. It takes 3 good energies, 3 open hearts and open minds to really create a transformational and beautiful reading. So if your client's coming and they're like, I want to be proved wrong,
Mm-hmm.
with their crossed arms and everything like that, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
What if the spirit didn't believe in this shit? I've had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those.
Oh, I have a lot of those.
Yeah.
And they like to come through and say like, I would have never bought any
Yeah.
of this shit.
Right, exactly. But let's go ahead. So now that you know, everyone is psychic to a degree. Yes, some people are born a little bit more psychic, some people, and it all depends. A lot of it depends on like childhood, religious beliefs, all of that stuff. But what are some things that we can do to enhance it?
Well, owning it first. And I say that tongue in cheek because I have to own that shit all the time. And I'm so hard on myself. So I also want you guys to understand, like, even the professional psychic medium, like, has times where it fluctuates, where you feel like you're less connected. So just honoring that it's always there. That sometimes it may feel closer, sometimes it may not feel so close, but it's really quieting things down. I know meditation for you, Erica, was key and pivotal for you opening up. For me, it was doing shadow work. Like I woke up through trauma, but I had to, that was my way of quieting things down. So I could pay attention to things. I tell this story, I think I told it recently on my podcast about when I had a loved one, a really good friend of mine, pass away. And she was coming to me before she died. I knew she was going to die. The day she died, the moment she died, I couldn't connect with her. And I was like, what the hell? Why can't I connect with her? It's because my human was hurting so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And then when I could calm down a little bit, she was right there. So understanding that, like, sometimes it's quieting your world through meditation. Sometimes it's clearing your world through healing, but it's quieting so you can actually hear those subtle voices.
Oh, I love that. I just got goosebumps everywhere when you were talking about her. But I think that's also a big thing is when somebody passes, we're the ones that are hurting. Us, the ones that are grieving, we're the ones that are in pain. We are the ones that have to process through this trauma. The spirit is so okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're hanging out with their guides. They are doing a life review. They are at their wake. They are with you. They are drying your tears, but we have to cry those tears.
Feel your shit.
Feel your shit and then come back.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that's something that I think I've never heard of psychic mediums talk about this or mentors. And that is, sometimes you're going to have to take a step back from your spiritual development.
Yep.
You are a human and you need to figure out your human shit. So whether that is your own ego, imposter syndrome, relationships, maybe it's just organizing your messy house and just feeling that clarity. It's about balance. It's about balance of the mundane and the magical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important because how many times have you had shit going on in your personal life, whether you were busy at work or your kids or whatever, and you just couldn't for the life of you just feel connected?
Oh, 100%.
I've had to do it a couple times,
100%. And I think it's making space. It's making space for the magical. So whether it's meditation, it's healing your shit, it's organizing your house, it's making space for the magical, for the amazing, because it is subtle, because it is quiet. So that for me is like the number one. You've got to take care of your shit. You've got to make space for this to come in. Yeah. And I also just want to take I do guided meditations and stuff like that. Like I channel them and I do that sort of thing. Sometimes you don't have to be like Om or listening to your favorite meditation app. Sometimes you can just go for a fucking walk. And that is enough time for spirit to come in.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times. Yeah.
That is meditation.
Yeah. But no.
Working it.
Yep. Yeah. Like, oh God. But I do need to recommend go for a walk. If you can do it with large trees or in a beautiful setting, amazing. Don't have your music on.
Absolutely.
Just go. Just listen to
go.
nature because it's telling you things.
Mm-hmm.
The breeze is telling you things. The ruffling of the leaves is telling you things. Because I'm one, like, I knew my playlist when I'm going on a hike. And then one day I was just like, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave my buds in my car and I'm just going to go. I'm going to take my phone just to be safe.
Right.
But it's such a different experience when you just listen to nature.
Mm-hmm.
So
And understand that you're in
Yeah.
trauma, if you're healing, all of that. Sometimes being quiet is really hard. Being still is
Yeah.
very hard. So understand that meditation is a practice, and it's something that sometimes if you can just go out for 2 minutes and walk around the neighborhood and have no music on and just be present in the moment, you did the thing. So be aware that this is all a process and that we fluctuate and it is a practice. For me, the other big thing, and it goes with the meditation and the healing stuff, is journaling. Journaling is so key. And I love actually going back and reading my journal entries from when I was waking up and seeing like the ahas. And you end up like kind of automatic writing a lot of times when you journal.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I'm just thinking to myself, I was just looking at an old journal and I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's not coming from me.
No, you don't remember writing it.
Right.
So that is we're always like, in the spiritual world, like who are my guides? Like, how many times do you get that question, Erica? I want to connect with my guides. I'm not connected with my guides. Who are my guides? You want to connect with your guides? Journal. Meditate and then just start writing.
Yeah.
And they will come through and they will talk to you through your journaling.
Oh, they will. And your thoughts. And those ideas. I know, once you begin to understand an intuitive hit to just your mundane mind, it's definitely like, I know when it's coming from my guide because it didn't come from me. And the more you practice, the more you develop, it just becomes second nature. You just live intuitively. That's really it. You also said, so you talked about journaling. I'm big into voice memos. I'm glad that you said that because I forget that I do them because because I don't know, I get a lot of like really great downloads when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
So, instead of having to like stop and write, I literally just grab my phone and I voice memo it. And a lot of the times I won't listen to it. I don't know why I don't listen, but I know it has to come out of me.
Yep.
Or come through me, I should say.
Yes.
But voice memos are also a great way.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I love that you also said tracking your hits.
Mm-hmm. Because you need that when the when you have a bad reading or the imposter syndrome comes in, you need to go back and be like, no, see, you are psychic because look, you got these dates and you got this stuff and you got this stuff. And I love having that proof. And for me, those voice memos or those journaling, that's proof when I go back, like, I don't know why I'm thinking like April 28th is a big day, but I keep seeing April 28th. You put it in your journal and then April 28th comes around and you go, oh, that's what they were saying. And you have the validation there. So it's a way of self-validation.
Yeah, absolutely. I literally started my journey with a binder that I stole from my parents' house. This is when I was like, what, 20? Yeah, don't judge me. I mean, everyone steals from their mother. Come on, like toilet paper, give me a break. Of course we do. So I stole it from my parents' house. I got the little 5 dividers, and one of those dividers was literally psychic hits, mediumship hits, and then not accurate hits. And all I did was I tallied every time I got a good hit with validation, every single time. And I think if it wasn't for the visual thing of seeing it on paper, I don't know how much longer it would have. I don't know if I would be here.
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
It's like school. It really is. And I really try to put this forward in the development groups that I run. But I believe that development groups, the most important thing about development groups, and you kind of touched about it on it with the journaling, is to be wrong. It is proper and okay and encouraged to be wrong in these development circles.
Right.
And because you need to know what it feels like when it's wrong, and you need to know what it feels like when it's right, because that strengthens the voice. It makes it louder so you can hear what's actually going on. And so I think that that's really important. So allowing yourself to have the not hits is so important.
Right. And I also think too that the no's also teach us that maybe whatever we were perceiving, the energy we were perceiving, we just interpreted it wrong.
Yep.
Because a lot of the times the things that we get are just feelings or just visions or something along those lines where maybe it doesn't make sense. So we have to just kind of let the consciousness flow through us, but we just interpret it wrong.
We guessed wrong on ghost charades.
Right. Ghost charades. Right, exactly. So that was really good. And then another thing that I think we need to talk, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a full freaking course just in this conversation. Like this is like basic psychic foundations 101, guys. You're welcome. Grounding.
Oh God. The Virgo is all about the grounding.
Yes, you are. You all are.
Frickin' earth signs. No, we can't go. My thing that I tell everybody is we can't go up there until we're here. We are here in this human existence, in this human body for a reason. We got to take care of that. We have to plug into it. We have to have our roots here before we can go up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think too, people are very much like when you're first starting out with your psychic development, you're like, I just need to be open because I just want to get anything. And it's, yeah, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea because the thing is like the psychic information is filtered through our chakra system, right? We have the 7 major chakras and the 3 lower chakras are more towards our human, our foundations, our connection to earth and everything like that. They are vitally important. Just because they aren't necessarily your clairvoyance does not mean that they are not as important as your third eye is. And you need to have those nice and clear and stable and connected for your other chakras where your clairvoyance comes in, and then your throat and your heart and your crown to really have a beautiful reading. You know, how many times, like I've had a couple of instances where I've had readings. I went to a fair once and I got a bones reading. Did you ever get one of those?
No, but I've seen it. It's so
interesting.
cool.
It is cool. It's like she had a bag of like bones and rocks and stuff. And I was like, I've never done this. Let's try it. She was extremely ungrounded. So it really didn't make any sense. The reading really didn't. It was very like out there and everything like that. And, you know, you'll notice that a lot of readers are much more focused on the 3 higher chakras and they're not grounded whatsoever. And the readings can get kind of spacey and you're like, what? But if someone is able to really tune into each and every chakra and be grounded, that's probably going to be a better reading. Because they're able to take the esoteric that they're picking up and ground it down.
Yep. Absolutely. It's you're a translator. And if you're not translating it correctly because you are talking to another earthling, it could be an alien, but you know, that's for another time. But you know, you are talking to another earth person. So, you know, it's really grounding that and taking it down and bringing it to earth. Like I believe like a big part of my calling was to like really ground heaven on earth, bring heaven on earth. And so we have to ground to be able to do that. It's also important for protection.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get like, ooh, scary, scary, or anything like that, because you are, first off, just to say it, you are the most powerful. You incarnate in your body is powerful beyond all measure. And you get to say what is in your field and not in your field. You have that. So know that first. But understanding, Erica, you kind of said that big net, we want to operate from those top 3 chakras, and we cast this big net. When you cast a big net and you don't have a lot of intention behind it, you're going to catch some not so great things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're grounded, that helps you protect your energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even just that, this is like the spiritual benefits of grounding. There's so many emotional and mental benefits as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can definitely just look into grounding and see the importance of it. There's a reason why we will just intuitively or instinctively say, I got to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's your soul being like, go hug a tree, you
Yep.
angry motherfucker. You know?
And I don't know about your guides, but my guides do say that kind of thing to me.
Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm curious, like, what are your predominant clairs?
Well, I really came on hardcore as an empath. That was like, I was very clairsentient. Like, I feel everything. I was taking everybody's stuff on. And then I'm very clairaudient. And then I would say 3 is clairvoyant.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you were like mostly clairvoyant.
That's interesting. I think I'm more clairvoyant than I think I am. And than I give myself credit for. Again, I think so much gets romanticized in the spiritual community, but I think when we think of clairvoyant, we think of like, oh, I see a full apparition in front of me, or I'm getting all of these colors and whatever. Again, remembering that everything is very subtle in the spiritual world, and it may just be a 2-second flash. Even if you get 2 seconds, that's real good if you get a 2-second flash of something, right? So it might just be like just a quick flash of something. That's clairvoyancy, when you actually are seeing something like that.
Mm-hmm. And you can hold, and you can make a strong intention to hold that vision. So you can describe it to your sitter or to whoever, or to write it down or something along those lines. That's why, intuition and intention, they should be hand in hand. I really feel like, I'm so like, I always thought you were definitely clairaudient, just because we're in circle together, guys. So I hear how she talks about her hits, and she'll say, I see this. So I thought you were very clairvoyant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mostly hear stuff. Like when I'm tuning into like how somebody died or something like that, or emotion, I feel it in my body.
Okay.
And then I get a lot of talking. And then, like I said, the third is, but my clairvoyancy has like been coming up more and more.
Yeah. Good to know. Cause I could have pegged you as just really extremely clairvoyant. And like with me, I'm extremely clairsentient, clairvoyance. I'm pretty claircognizant, but I am not clairaudient for shit.
I didn't even think about claircognizant. Yeah, that's another one. Like, you just don't know why you know it, but you just know it.
Yeah, that's the hardest one.
I mean, it's so hard, especially once you get very established. It becomes just I don't know. You just go somewhere.
Yeah.
When I'm doing readings, you and I have talked about this before, but I kind of like excuse myself from the room a little bit, and I just kind of step aside, and like they just say whatever they're like. They just use me.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting sometimes, especially after you've been doing this for a while, to kind of sit back and dissect like how is that actually coming through. But through my awakening, the clairsentient thing, the empath thing, was so overwhelming, knock you over the freaking coals.
Oh yeah. I think for me, my meditation practice, and again, this is why I always say your spiritual path is yours and yours alone. Meditation has been really my foundation into my awakening. But But for Dana, it was journaling. It was sitting with her shadow. It was, all of that stuff. So for me, when I first started meditating every single day, my clairsentience got really strong. And I'm not an emotional person. I mean, we all know that. Like I have, Aquarius problems. But it was very weird because my husband noticed that I was getting much more emotional about things. So he was like, "Are you PMSing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but I am." But we also have to decipher, guys, oh my God, there's a difference between feelings and emotions.
Mm,
I think we get that mixed up.
yes.
Feelings are feelings, emotions are emotions. And when we are diving in, I notice that a lot of people will kind of medge the two together, where it's like emotions are emotions. Let's leave those over there. And our feelings are feelings. Feelings are just those gut reactions of something. There's really no emotion connected to it. And that's how we should decipher that. Because I've seen people mix the two, and especially with mediumship readings where they'll get overly emotional while connecting to a spirit. And I'm like, you shouldn't do that.
I think, so I'm a Virgo,
Yeah.
sun and moon, and Aquarius rising. So I'm with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not the, come on now. But I try not to judge because like, I wish I could cry. It'd be cool.
I could cry.
I'm very detached from the emotions sometimes.
I'm just more of just like, when it comes to mediumship, I don't want anybody ever thinking that your spirits are not okay. And they're not safe and happy and content and at peace with everything. And when we bring that emotion and we start crying as the channel, I don't ever want anybody to think that they're not okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it's your own emotions or something, but just keep that in check, guys.
Well, and you just touched on something that's really important. Part of being clairsentient and empath, all of these things, is recognizing what is yours and what is not yours. And it's grounding will help you do that. A lot of things. So, a hint, this is a psychic hit. If all of a sudden you're angry and you can't attach a reason to why you're angry, that's most likely not yours.
Yeah.
And this is a whole nother podcast, but I have like major codependency issues, like been in therapy for years, whatever. I was carrying everybody's shit. And that took a long time for me to untangle what was mine and what isn't mine. But having that protection up. So when we talk about protection, we're not talking about the demons. We're talking about emotions that are not yours. That it is not proper for you to be holding on to other people's stuff. And even as a reader, I'm very intentional about, okay, I'm open. And after we're done. I'm clearing everything about you out of my area. And also in a reading, if I get a little too uncomfortable with what I'm feeling, I get to push it back at you. I don't have to sit in it. So understanding what is yours and what is not yours is also another big key to figuring out like your psychic hits and how you're connected.
Absolutely. And that's why you can't have spiritual development without personal development. You can't. I'm sorry. If you're doing it, you're half-assing it. You need to learn what your shit is, what your trauma is. Because when I tell you, this is going to creep up on you. Your traumas, your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, I should say, maybe trauma you have around something, you have to at least be acutely aware of them. And I think you need to have emotional intelligence. It's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to feel emotions. It's okay to be angry and upset and everything like that. But something that we do in ILS is we do an exercise called taking inventory. And it's super, super important. You know, every single psychic medium is human, and we have bad days, and we get upset, and we do stupid shit. And anybody who has a superior complex, run the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Please run the other way. And it's just, I think every healer, like, we're never going to be fully healed, but we need to be aware of what we're healing, what's still an open wound, what's healing nicely, and all of that. And, you know, taking inventory, I think, is a really good way. Even if you're not doing psychic readings, it's a great thing to just bring it into your daily life. And that's simply just taking a step back, whether it's before you walk into work, closing down your car, closing your eyes, and tuning into your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental body. Seeing what emotions are present, what physical ailments are present, what mental thoughts are going inside of your head, so that when you do go into the world and you mesh with energies, you know what's yours and what's not yours. And what's not yours, you push back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's having that protection.
Yeah.
Something I want to touch on too with this is you don't have to be fully healed to do this. This is a journey, not a destination. And it is very, it's amazing how many times you think you've healed something and it's going to show up for you again.
That happens
And
so much.
I mean, how many times you have a client that's almost a mirror for you,
Yeah.
and you can go, oh my God. And we heal right along with the client in the message and what we're doing with them. So understanding that this is not a destination, just because, you know, we're professional psychic mediums does not mean that we are done developing. It does not mean that we're done learning. The one thing that I know for certain is I don't know everything. And the vastness of this, you know, the more you understand you don't know shit.
Yeah. I mean, really you know, thank you for coming to my TED Talk or our TED Talk, because that's the truth. We don't know shit. We really don't. I mean, I thought I kind of knew the whole evidential mediumship thing, and then trans fell into my lap, and I'm like, we don't know nothing. We know nothing about this. We know very little about the spirit world. There is not one person that is an expert in spirit communication or just the spirit world in general. And I think anybody doing spiritual work, anybody needs to come with an eternal student mindset, because I'm learning something new every time we do a trans mediumship circle.
Yeah, those have been pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, so when was there a point for you when you were like, I think I'm psychic?
I mean, it just got to the point where it was like I was getting hit over the head, and it was a true awakening. It was about 2017, 2016, and it was just, I was hit by trauma bomb, just trauma. And I was healing, and like all of this stuff was coming through. And I had the mediumship come through as like, I had all the dead people around me. All of a sudden, like I woke up one day and all the dead people were around me. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I would take a shower and it would sound like I was in a bus terminal. Like it was just overwhelming. So I just got really hit over the head with it. And it was just kind of, that's when I started journaling. That's when I started playing with it a little bit more. And I knew that I was getting a bigger picture. I had always been connected on some level as a kid, and then I shut it down. And then it was like, oh, without a doubt. And I remember coming out to my husband and I'm like, I think I'm psychic. And he's like, Dana, you've been talking to your dead dad since I've met you. Like, of course you are. So a lot of people were like, duh, of course you are. There were people that like, what do you mean? But it was that, like, it was just getting hit over the head enough with it that it's like, there's something more going on here than just, I couldn't dismiss it anymore.
Yeah. That's kind of how I was. They literally just beat me over the head because I just wouldn't, I have a problem with labels and everything like that, but it came to the point where it was like, there was just such a collection of psychic hits that I acquired through my development, where it was like, okay, I think I'm psychic. And I didn't think I was psychic. I had my mediumship experience first. I had a mediumistic experience first, which was just crazy. And then I remember, I think the first time where I was like, I think I'm a medium, was after I had my mediumistic experience. I went to a local workshop. It was like a 5-hour workshop for mediumship development. I went and I was getting names. I was getting hits of the people that I've never known before. And I was able to like describe things in great detail. And I remember driving home and I was just like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
And you know what you do? You find a development circle.
Yes. Well, we talked about that just before we came on, that neither one of us would be doing this professionally without development circles.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. There's only so many readings you can do on yourself and to people that you already have a connection to. We were, and I think that it's really important to talk about, as much as we love the one-on-one mentorship, because we get to have a really beautiful soul connection with you and we get to hold your hand in a way during your experience. I don't want to say it's necessary. You want to know what's necessary for spiritual development? Is getting your ass outside of your comfort zone and showing up to a spiritual development circle and proving yourself wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's, our time together is great and it's healing and it's transformational. And yes, we could do work, but there's only so much, especially if your intention is mediumship or psychic development. You know what I mean? If you're in it more for the life coaching aspect of it, then yes, I 100% agree. Like one-on-one is amazing. But if you are in this for mediumship or psychic development, you have to go to a spiritual development circle.
Absolutely. And I'm, this is shameless promotion, but you and I have both danced in some spiritual circles that were interesting. It's really good to find a good one. And of course, I'm partial to Intuitive Life Society. If we're not right for you, that's okay. It is really important that you find the one that calls to you, that feels right to you. Get some variety. If you go into a place and it doesn't feel right, trust that's your psychic sense telling you that it doesn't feel right. Pay attention to why doesn't it feel right. That's part of these exercises too. We need to trust our intuition, but like, what is it about it? Is it somebody there that you're picking up on that doesn't feel quite right? Is it because it's in a building that's kind of funky? What is it? Or is it your fear that is holding you back from really experiencing that?
Yeah.
But I also have found that those shady experiences actually are learning experiences for you. So it's not a lost cause if you find a group and it just doesn't fit right. You learn something by doing that.
And it's not just that. You also learn that when it comes to spiritual development and psychic, we're opening up a container for spirit communication, for angels, for guides, for the universe to come and use us as vessels. That could be good or bad, depending on the vibration that the container is holding and everything like that. And like even Dana has agreed, we have both had our experiences with various spiritual development circles. Some I was like, never again. Others I was like, what is going on? And then others were so amazing, so positive. I learned so much. And I realized within my own development that having a good place with grounded people, with people that are in it for the right reasons, and people who are able to maintain a positive, high vibrational place, sometimes it's hard to find.
It's really hard to find.
It really is.
but just trust that it's out there. And like, again, shameless promotion for Intuitive Life Society. No, because and I told you this, I came kicking and screaming, and I was like, I went to my first circle and I went, holy shit, there's something amazing that happens in this space. And that's been doing the Pepsi taste test at a lot of different ones before that to understand like what we do is so important. So for me, like, it's making sure that you feel comfortable with who's running it. Because remember, you know, as much as everybody there is learning, so some people may not be able to hold down the vibration as well as other people and whatever. So you've got to have somebody that's running the circle that you trust, that you feel is holding it down for you. And Erica, you've done, I'm amazing, but you've done a fantastic job of calling in other amazing people to do that work and to hold the vibration in that space. And of course, you do a phenomenal job.
I appreciate that very much. But yeah, I think the best thing about ILS now is because we've grown so much, you're not just getting circles with me, but you're getting circles with other phenomenal mentors like Dana, like Sonia, who will be on the podcast shortly. Hannah is doing her astrology classes. You're getting some really amazing people as mentors for a really great value.
Oh, absolutely. And we do life shit in there too.
Yeah,
so,
we do.
You know, you touched on it. You know, mentorship is amazing. It can be really helpful in almost a life coaching kind of thing, as well as just kind of that extra push. But something like Intuitive Life Society is a place where you can kind of hit all of the points. We do breathwork classes and things like that, which are really a lot of healing stuff. The only other thing that I really want to make sure we impart before this is don't compare yourself to anybody else doing this work, especially when you get into the development circles. Understand that everybody starts at a different place, everybody's at a different level, and you may never connect like Ted can to the clear audience stuff, but you are really good at the clear cognizant stuff. And your thing, I call it your special spice. What is your special spice? And Erica, you've done such a beautiful job of fostering this too, of like, we're not in competition with one another. We have to take competition out of the spiritual arena. Right. If you're good, we're going to lift you up. If you're a good person, you're doing the good things and you're good at what you do, we're going to push you up. And it's not a competition. So don't compare yourself. You are going to have off days. You're going to have on days. It's about you.
Right.
Never compare yourself to somebody else.
Right. And I know that that's very hard sometimes. And I know that people, I mean, I've known personally that people can get very intimidated by some of the people in ILS, because we have some highly intuitive motherfuckers up in there who are just really incredible at what they do. But what you don't see is the countless hours of meditation that they've done. Them not missing a circle in over a year. Them doing this work for free outside of circle. It's where your intention is. If this is something that you just want a connection to your soul, if you want it to just feel more connected to the universe, to your higher self, to whatever, or if you just want a community and you just like doing some psychic hits from here and there and just, you know, laughing and being part of a thriving community, but you have no intention of doing this work professionally, that's your intention. That's it.
Or you can start with that,
right?
Like me, and then end up doing it professionally. So, you know, because you're going to find out you're that fucking good. So, you know, and understanding that, like, even Ted, we don't even have a Ted. That's why we don't say a few things.
Many.
we're manifesting a Ted into the circle. I don't know. But you didn't see Ted at his first circle.
Right.
You don't know how many times, how Ted has grown over time. And we've seen that amazing growth in people in ILS.
I have. Oh my God. I want to shout out a couple members. Like, I remember when Sabrina B showed up last year, she hardly said a word at her first circle. And then within a couple months, we were doing exercises and she was getting spot on freaking readings. And then we had Stacy, who got, and 100% accurate reading on a psychic exercise that we did. And we were all blown away. And we get to witness you develop, but it's up to you to show up.
Yep.
You know?
It's all about intention. It's about what do you want to do with this? So you think you're psychic. What do you want to do with this? That was my kind of New York accent.
Yeah.
I
think, love you to death, but I think you should stay in Colorado and let the New York accent. I'll do it. So you think you're psychic?
Fair. I'll just talk really slow and calmly. That's what we do.
Yes, that's what we need.
Oh, Lord. But you've got this, and just believing and understanding and having some grace for yourself, understanding that this is not a linear growth curve. It will stop and start a million times. And God, one more thing that I just want to say is you don't have to be on all the time. You do not have to be Miss Psychic Teresa Caputo walking in the grocery store. And I encourage you not to try to do that.
Yes.
Have your intentional time of your meditation or just your plugging in of journaling. That's your time to connect. That's your time. The rest of your time, the 90% rest of your day is about you being a human and experiencing life. We came here for a reason. You do not have to be on all the time.
You can't be on all the time. You really, really can't. I know a lot of mediums like Teresa Caputo, they'll just be open in Walmart. And I'm like, fuck that. No. You come to me when I light my candle and when I invite you in. It's really your intention. But when I tell you, like, this work is very exhausting, it's energetically exhausting. And the more tapped in you are, the more tired you're going to become.
Absolutely. Well, and you did you did a great mediumship weekend. And I know you've got a good one coming up with psychic and mediumship coming up. And you're going to be tired after that.
Yeah. Even holding that container, you're tired.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be doing a tarot class, right?
Yeah, I haven't announced dates yet, but it's coming in October, and I'm gonna shake it up a little bit. I wanted to do it as like an online thing where you could just evergreen, take it anytime you want. But I love the connection of actually practicing. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually like learn about the cards, but we're going to actually practice together. It's going to be a little bit of a development circle within the class of getting comfy with each other. And I think that's what I really have loved about teaching it before. So stay tuned. The dates are coming on that. And
be sure to follow Dana on Instagram because you'll probably just announce it there, right? Yeah.
Yep. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and if there's a social platform, I'm at Dana Willey Woo on all of those.
Awesome. Dana, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys want to come and join us in ILS, enrollment is open. You could go ahead and go to danawilley.com.
It's just danawilley.com, and the link is up there. If you go to the top, it says Intuitive Life Society. You can click on that and sign up.
Yeah, come hang out with us. It's a lot of fun. We're funny.
We have a blast, and it's also just community, and it's so freaking nice to have people that don't think you're crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. It is a beautiful community, and I just can't get over how supportive it is. It's like mind-blowing.
Like I said, it's a rarity. There's so much competition in the spiritual community that it is true rarity to have just a community of people that want to see you succeed and applaud you when you step out of your comfort zone and to do that stuff. It's really cool. So come join us.
Yes. Okay, Dana, thank you so much for coming on, guys. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week.